They're just uncomfortable in there. Sometimes getting pinned on the right side deep, you feel like you're all by yourself and you're being picked on, and that's exactly what Fiona Shannon's doing right now.
It seems, Dave, like Lorraine is playing very close to the right side wall. It makes it difficult to play the ball either off the side wall or the ball that goes straight down the wall. As a right side player, Dave, you like to line up a little bit farther away from the right side wall to create some space?
Well, yeah, Lorraine yesterday played the right side absolutely beautiful. She was in the front court. And here today, she's very tentative and she's playing back. I think sometimes when you respect the doubles partners too much, you give them too much space. You see Lorraine's not looking to attack the way that she should normally, but yesterday she was in the front court, played a great game.
Lorraine Davis, the current
0-7-6.
Score is 0-6.
The current Irish one-wall national champion. She actually has a one-wall court in her house. Calls that a great bit of fun.
Point.
Well, she's become a really good one-wall player.
1-7-6.
Her whole family plays handball, too.
Replay.
Look at that. Lorraine just staying right in one spot there.
1-7-6.
Well, if Lorraine moved to her right there, or excuse me, moved to her left, she would have screened Shabeel, and if she moved to her right, she would have run into the ball. Really no play there.
One thing I can tell you about Lorraine is she does play a really good right side. Right now, she's just standing in one spot, not very mobile. And I can guarantee she'll break out of that here in the second game or later part of this first game. What I can tell you is that today, earlier at the City West Hotel, Lorraine Havern came out of the hallway, and I was just behind when she ran out of her door and then just ran down the hall. That was only 13 minutes ago, which meant it looked like she overslept this morning. That's not confirmed, but you can completely tell that she was running late. One of her mates were with her, and they were both running down the hallway. They got congested with some kids down at the end of the hall, and she was trying to fight through the pick. She had to try to get down to the courts, and I think she overslept this morning.
Does that mean, Dave, that you were also running late?
No. I had an earlier match, went back and showered and came back for this, and I knew that I could just show up and start talking. That's really how good I am.
I also noticed that it's Casual Friday here for you today. It's good. It's a nice treat we have here at the WPH.
Wearing a collared shirt.
6-7-4.
Getting a lot of feedback here, but don't really know where that's coming from. It's certainly not us. You put the headsets on. We don't have any other microphones near headsets here.
Attack the ball.
You don't mean feedback from our viewers. You mean feedback from various beeping and
6-7-4.
strange noises up here in the...
Could you hear it?
I do, actually.
Point.
Another air there for Aisling Reilly, who's now made 5 unforced airs.
7-7-4.
You heard the score from our referee, 7-4. Winner this day will play in the finals tonight at 6:30 p.m.
Yesterday was Doyle and Shauna Hilly playing that match against Fiona and Gallagher when Gallagher hurt her right bicep. And it was a tiebreaker.
7-7-4.
Excuse me, no tiebreaker, but
short.
Fiona and Gallagher were up 15-0 in the second game after destroying them in the first. And then Gallagher hurt herself, and the team of Hilly and Doyle served 4 or 5 straight points over to Gallagher, and Gallagher couldn't even get the ball back, and we thought there'd be a forfeit. We would have seen those two young ladies here into these semifinals, but instead of continually hitting balls to Gallagher, they, out of respect, hit it over to Fiona and really never scored again. It was an odd scene, because I think in some of the matches that we've watched, you pick on the person who's injured. And that's certainly out of respect, I guess, ethical respect. They decided not to do that. Maybe there's a different code for women's handball. I know that when a warrior goes out and wounds a deer, they just trace the blood trail until they get to the deer, and then they have food. But in the case of Hilly and Doyle, they just went out and decided to go kill another deer, and they missed.
Well, ethics, Dave, is defined as being able to judge between what's right and wrong. I'm not so sure that going after the stronger player is the right thing to do. Beautiful shot from Aisling Reilly, who's really been all or nothing thus far, Dave, in the early part of this first game. She's made some amazing shots, and she's made some really terrible errors.
Well, as we saw the other night, she can actually light it up at any moment. Aisling Reilly pops that ball to the ceiling, but it checks up on the right, and that's where Fiona's really good right there. She has a mid-range left that's a little stronger than most of the women players, and she likes to use the left, the right corner first with that.
Aisling hitting that serve 77 miles per hour. That serve, Dave, 73 miles per hour, both unreturned by the Shannon sisters.
Here's what I don't understand. Gallagher is completely wincing in pain right now, and Aisling Reilly got that point, but that ball right there, if it would have made it, it would have hit the side wall and went over to Fiona. They need to isolate Gallagher and attack right now, because she's injured. Dave, she just hurt herself again. That little easy stroke of hers is not the problem. That power serve down to Gallagher's knees, that's where she can't react quick with that torn bicep. Right here, this is going to hurt.
Lorraine with unforced error, Dave. That was a critical point there. Would have kept them in the server's box and kept them on a scoring roll after scoring 3 points in a row. Now it's Shabil Gallagher back into the server's box. First serve for Team Shannon.
Gallagher always has that sort of scowl on her face, so there's no frame of reference whether or not she's wincing in pain or she's happy. But you can see when she holds her right arm straight down to her side that that she's in pain, and when you hit a ball really fast at her and she has to react quickly, those muscles tighten up, and that's where she's having the most trouble. When she can just lob a ball back, she's okay. And that's why I feel that Aisling Reilly and Lorraine Havern should just be pounding balls right at the feet of Gallagher. But they're not doing it.
It's Fiona Shannon and Shabil Gallagher in the green. Aisling Reilly and her partner Lorraine Havern wearing the red and black respectively.
Look how slow Gallagher is getting up. She has a bad back. She has a torn bicep. Her triceps all tweaked out, and they're going to call something here. And watch her as she exits the court, Dave. Gallagher is completely in pain, and anything that's hit really fast is totally disrupting her. It looks like she's about ready to forfeit.
Well, Dave, certainly it's very, very uncomfortable. I don't know if we can get a shot of Shabil here now during this timeout, but she looks like she's on the verge of tears, and it's not as though, Dave, she can say she's going to leave it all on the table here in this match.
She is
because
crying, Dave.
If she's able to win this match, they'll have another match later tonight.
Dave, she's shedding a tear here. Look at her, completely in pain. And I would not be surprised if they just let this one go. And you see Fiona just sitting there saying, come on, you can do it.
That's okay.
I actually believe that there's no chance that they'll let this one go. I think Fiona will put her sister in the I formation
But
if she has to.
that's the thing. Yesterday, during their match, it was obvious that she couldn't even move. I thought she might even had a broken arm. That's how bad it was. Her arm was so straight down to the ground. They refused to go into the I formation. 6 straight aces served over there, and it looked painful for us up here in the booth. They went into a modified I where Shabil comes forward but stays on the right side, and Shannon went to take the serve, but Shabil jumped in and took it anyway. And that was the only time. That was for one shift. We never saw it again. I believe the effective thing for them to do is put Shabil dead center on the court during the serve, let Fiona Shannon take everything around the backside, and then have Shabil drift out toward the middle of the court in sort of a modified I during the actual rally so she doesn't have to use her right hand much. Maybe even moving her to the left. And I say that because we watched Tom Sheridan last night, a lefty, take everything with his left on the left side. And Gallagher's left is amazing.
Well, Dave, is there a way they can play where she plays the left, but Fiona still controls the action? Perhaps?
Yeah, she would have to play the left and then move up front toward the short line.
Right.
That way, balls that come up and around, you don't have to feel obligated to take those that are coming off the back wall. Fiona then would play a right side deep. And it could be very effective because it's not a usual lineup. Probably would take a little adjusting for Reilly and Havern.
9-7-6.
And I also don't understand why Gallagher is serving with a right hand here, even if it is an underhand paddle.
That was a very effective underhand paddle serve.
Point.
Huge setup for Fiona Shannon. She takes care of it in front of the foot fault line, but it seemed like that was a very good timeout, Dave, for Team Shannon as they came in, got 2 side outs and then a point. So 3 consecutive rallies that they've won.
Look at this. Look at this, Dave. This is going to be an injury timeout here. This might be it for them. That's what I'm telling you. If you want to win this, Gallagher cannot stick her right hand out anymore. She has to move out. She has to move away. If it hurts this much every time you hit a ball, you'd have to stop hitting the ball. I would even say put your arm in a sling, and I'm not joking here. Take your arm and tie it with duct tape around the side of your body so you don't use it for anything. This might be a scratch here.
I saw Fiona hand the ball to Aisling Reilly, but now the ball is still in the court, Dave, so we're not really sure what's going on here. It looks like it might be a scratch, but we have not had any official word.
I'd like to get our film crew to at least ask the referee if this is a scratch or if this is an injury timeout. This is very similar to what happened in 2009 in the World Handball Championships when Paul Brady took a timeout, an extended timeout, and the referee didn't ask him what the injury was. Now, I think it's obvious to everybody that Shabil is injured. Shabil is injured, Dave, but the referee didn't ask what it was. You can't just award an injury timeout to somebody without at least asking what the injury is. Just because you go up and hit a ball and wince down in pain does not mean there's an injury.
Now, Dave, you study the rule book quite a bit more than I do, but is it true that if you come into a match with an existing injury, you then cannot take an injury timeout? Because if this was the injury that Shabil came into the court with, she can't go ahead and take a 15-minute injury timeout or any amount of time leading up to 15 minutes.
That is exactly how I interpreted the rule book. And this goes back from what happened with Paul Brady back in 2009, and it's fresh in our memory because it's really had a lot of press. The referee here is making the wrong decision. If I go in with a broken leg and I dive for a ball and my leg is hurting more than it was when I walked in the court and I tell the referee I need an injury timeout, he has to or she has to say, we're not granting that to you. You came in here with an injury. We can't give you an injury timeout for something that's already there.
And that's why I believe you're adamant that the referee ask what the injury is. The referee should have known that Shabil was coming into this match with an injury. Also, a player has to relay that information that this was the injury I came into the court with and know that they can't take an injury timeout. A lot of these players, though, Dave, aren't as clear on the rules as perhaps they should be, and neither are the referees. But it does not look at this point, Dave, like this will be a scratch. But, Dave, you'd have to think the best strategy right now would be for Shabil to not even put a glove on her right hand. That way, there's no chance she can hit the ball with the right hand because you're not even allowed to hit the ball without a glove on. That'll also restrict her from taking a swing with her right hand because mentally you know that you can't hit with your right hand. I know, Dave, you've gone in and played some left-handed 2 action.
This is how bad it is, Dave. Not to interrupt, but Fiona Shannon is helping her sister put gloves on her arm. That's how bad it hurts. But you're right. Keep going.
Well, you know, if you try and play somebody just with one hand, but you have a glove on the other hand, you have a tendency to use that other hand. But if you don't put a glove on the other hand, you'll never use that other hand. So
Well,
if she just puts a glove on her left hand, goes over to the left side wall and plays the left front court, they have a legitimate chance to still win this match. They have no chance, I don't believe, Dave, to win this match if Shabil stays on the right and continues to stick her right hand up, because every time she hits the ball with her left hand, we're going to have this type of situation.
No, I agree with you, Dave. Unfortunately, it's a tough situation because there's so much strategy, and then you got smart players in there that know how to also exploit your strategy. So even if they switch sides or went into the I formation, there's going to be ways of defending that. Shabil's going to have to go out, in my opinion, toward the middle of the court, if not all the way to the left side.
The score is 10, serving 6.
Well, what Fiona doesn't seem to realize, Dave, is that she can still hit the majority of the shots from the right side if her sister's in the front court on the left.
Point.
And, Dave, you have to think it's difficult for the ladies in the backcourt right now, knowing how injured Shabil is, and that's mentally very challenging as an opponent. I know, Dave, that you're in for blood, but at the same time, you still feel for your opponent. And it's almost more difficult for the team to play against an injured opponent than the actual injured opponent.
Well, it takes the players out of the game when they're trying to force shots, but you can see there are 5 straight shots hit directly to Fiona Shannon. You need to go in and actually go right at Gallagher's feet, so she is forced to use that right there. See, it's impossible. She has to use a backhanded left. She cannot be in that position. She has to go over to the left side.
6, serving 12.
It's really frustrating. Now you see Fiona trying to come up in front, and that's a smart way of handling it. This is smart here, but I'm not sure if I like the front to back. It should be the opposite way, in my opinion, because you're pinning your right side guy in the back. They should just come over and stand right behind the service line or right in front. Now you have 2 players out of position, Dave. That's why I don't like that, the reverse high. I don't think they've ever had to do it before. Nope.
And it's very painful to watch, Dave, even from the booth, as Shabil continues to stick that right wing out.
She stuck it out. She stuck it out there when she shouldn't have, and then the next ball she should have got with her left, and she didn't go after that. Oh, and a flat kill from Fiona Shannon around that revolving door over there.
It's serving 12.
That was a mouse, Dave. Didn't even bounce. Here's a setup for Ashley.
The thing is, Fiona can't win this on her own. She can't beat these 2-on-1 right now. Not after all of these rounds of handball.
12.
That's why what Gallagher has to do is disrupt it, even if she's not going to use her right arm. She needs to get out and up front and get into the way of those great shots that you just saw from Ashley and Reilly. She needs to disrupt him somehow by standing really close to the front wall or just over on the left wall.
Side away.
That's a difficult shot to execute, Dave, as the spin on the ball coming from the front wall ceiling hits your hand, the ball goes straight down towards the ground.
And what's lost here is that Lorraine Havern is just kind of a silent player in there right now. She needs to come up front and also disrupt Gallagher as much as possible.
Well, don't forget, Dave, that Fiona Shannon's game will automatically raise her level. Dave will go way up as she now needs to compensate for the injury of her sister.
But you're also seeing Ashley and Reilly step it up too. But you're right. Fiona now knows she needs to carry the load. This is a good lineup right now for Fiona and Gallagher, with Gallagher straight in the I formation right now. And that's what the I formation will do to you. She forced Ashley and Reilly to go back to the roof because Gallagher was playing right up front. They are playing the I formation now.
Dave, on that last kill shot from Fiona Shannon, does Lorraine Havern have to bend down there and give her that right corner?
14-10.
They just played over a ball because Fiona was hindered by her own partner. Anyway, sorry, I missed your
Well,
comment.
Fiona killing that last back wall shot in the right corner, but Lorraine
Handoff.
bent all the way down to give her that right corner. Can't she just stand there, Dave, and take away that right corner? She had the rest of the court.
Yeah, and I even suggest taking a step toward the front wall. It gets you out of the range of the referee calling any type of avoidable or block. And if you step up front, you even take away more of the corner.
10 serving 14.
Score here, Dave, is 10-14. First game of the women's open doubles semifinal. The winner of this match will be in the finals tonight here at the sold-out City West Arena at 6:30 p.m. local time.
Oh, and Ashleen hits that ball on the ground. I love the lineup right now from Team St. Paul GAC with
10 serving 14.
Shabeel up front now instead of behind. The thing is, I don't believe these ladies have ever been into the I formation. They're kind of trying to work it out on their own here. They're completely doing it right now with Gallagher up front, and I like actually the style that they're playing, and I think they should probably play this way
serving 14.
even when Gallagher's not injured. And that's the eye right there.
Side away.
And now Ashling has missed her last two back wall setups.
14 serving 11.
Not making contact.
Smart. Smart. Look what this does. See that? Gallagher blocking out Lorraine Havern, and then Lorraine smacked her wrist right there against the side wall, and now she's hurt.
That was actually Lorraine's finger jamming into the side wall. We had a good view of that from our perch here, Dave, in the media box. And Dave, I know you've had that happen to you where you go for the ball, merge with the side wall at the same time. It's the ball, your finger, and the side wall all jammed together at once, and it's very, very painful.
Now, Dave, let's watch this replay. I'm going to show you something here. Look at Gallagher and what she does to Lorraine Havern. She backs over right there, making it disruptive. Lorraine has to go around her. Referee doesn't call any type of hinder because the play is so far away that they don't see that early contact. And that's how Gallagher can actually help win matches for their team, even though her arm is not working right now. She could do some disruptive stuff in the front. She actually, after serving that ball, backed out slightly. And right there, see that? She got in the way, and just enough of that as Lorraine then turns around the corner, tries to put her hand up against the wall and jams her finger into the side wall and actually snapped it back. And the referee gave a injury timeout there. Once again, referee not asking what the injury is, which is not the correct call from the ref. Sometimes it's a little obvious, but you still need to ask.
I believe, Dave, you're asking Lorraine, or excuse me, Shabeel, to play sort of a Dennis Rodman type of role. Do the dirty work in there, box out.
Well, if you can't use your arm, you have to use your legs. And Shabeel did a smart thing. She served and then came out of the box out in the middle to take away Lorraine Havern's lane. Even though she served it to Reilly, she wants to make sure that the right side player doesn't get up front to get any shots. You see Gallagher's playing perfect right now.
Well, Dave, it's very difficult to play with a jam finger, and right now that's what Lorraine has. I can see her trying to shake that stove finger out, but you lose a lot of control with your swing because you have that hesitation. The ball doesn't roll through your hand the way it would with 5 healthy fingers.
Looks like she hit it right on that finger again.
Really, Dave, as a handball player, the only thing you can do is tape 2 fingers together, which is not legal in a tournament match. Or if you have some sort of padding cut out and tape onto your finger underneath the glove. It didn't look like Lorraine did either of those things.
Point.
Gallagher and Shannon are playing absolutely perfect doubles right now in the way that they've lined themselves
12
up.
serving 15. Short.
And I believe this is an effective way to play doubles even if you're not injured. Not necessarily the I formation on the serve, but right now with Gallagher up front, this is really good. The philosophy that Shannon has is I'm playing singles right now. There's no left-right.
13 serving 15.
But it's not necessarily singles because there's so much more congestion.
There is, but in her mind, she's thinking to herself, I'm not playing the left side, I'm playing a game of singles. So she's going to go after every shot. It's a little bit more taxing.
that time, Dave, Shabil sticking out that right wing, and you can see her wincing even now.
Point.
And Reilly hits that corner pass kill shot that squelches out on the left sidewall.
15.
Now it's 14 to 15
Short.
after
You
all
can
that
see
fanfare.
just how competitive, sorry, Dave, that Fiona Shannon is. There's no way she's going to walk off this court in a World
Point.
Championship semifinal. I think she'd be playing with 2 broken arms.
Well, her sister knows that
Point.
Fiona Shannon has won these world championships, and that's the reason why
16,
Gallagher has said
15.
we're going to continue on.
Short ball.
Fiona wants to scratch this so her sister doesn't get hurt, but Gallagher is the one that's insisting they keep playing, and Gallagher probably has a surgery coming up. I think that's how severe this is. A torn bicep, her back is really bad, and
16,
you know how it is
15.
with these bad backs. That could be enough to put somebody out of a tournament. Your back is hurt right now. You had opportunities to continue to play, and it's unbearable.
No.
Second serve.
Now Gallagher standing on the back wall, and Fiona's just playing 2-on-1. There you go.
Point.
Looked like a wrist ball there, Dave. Not, or perhaps that
17,
hit her
15.
shin. Hit her hand and then her shin with sort of a weird spin.
Side away.
What does Lorraine need to do differently there, Dave?
Get off the
She's
wall.
just pinned.
Get off the
15,
wall.
serving 17.
It's tough because you know your opponent's going to blast a ball at you, and if you can't get off the wall, you have to take steps back toward the back wall. Just give yourself some space so you can get your right arm off that wall. A lot of these people that are playing the right side miss
Point.
opportunities because their right arm doesn't have any type of range of motion. You have a wall right there, so you have to
16,
kind of
serving 17.
back out just a little bit.
Score, Dave, is 16-17 here in game number 1. You'll hear a big round of
Replay.
applause from the gallery here if Team Shannon's
16,
able to tie the
17.
score here. Of course, Dave, in Ireland, it's very popular when the score is tied, even at 1-1, but particularly late in games.
Point.
And you'll hear it now, Dave, as the referee announces 17 all.
Garrett 17.
There's the claps from the crowd.
Golf clap.
It was also just a nice little paddle re-kill with the left hand from Gallagher, who's injured. And Dave, you know, when you have that injury of the back and also your right arm, it hurts to use your left arm. Just because you normally would swing out with your right to open up your body, and that swing out to transfer your weight is what
17,
hurts.
serving 17.
So everything hurts, even the left hand, especially if she powers up, it even gets worse.
Beautiful inside out
Side away.
fist pass down the right wall for Aisling Reilly.
17 each.
Now we're all together at 17, first game.
Point.
There's the variety of Aisling Reilly, who shows a
18, serving
swinging
17.
paddle kill with her left hand.
I thought she was going to go to the left, and look at
Point.
that timely crack serve.
19, serving 17.
And
Handoff.
another back wall air from Aisling Reilly. That's her 5th
19, serving
unforced air off the
17.
back wall in this game.
See who makes the first mistake here. I think that's the first one. And look what Fiona does. She makes her pay for it.
Side away.
Dave, we've talked about this before. Would you rather be
I thought it was good.
serving at 17-19
They can't say.
in doubles or receiving?
Depends on who's serving.
17,
If you're
serving
saying
19.
me,
You don't have to be modest here, Dave.
I didn't mean it that way, but it depends on who we're playing, to be honest. If we're getting points on the serve, I'd say stay at 17. And if it's the first server of the group, then I say definitely stay at 17. Well, that was a weird throw. That actually could have been called a throw. big setup here for Fiona.
That's exactly what Lorraine needs to do there, Dave. Dig those difficult shots in the front court.
Gallagher is not hitting anything. This is all Fiona playing 2-on-1 right now. Gallagher is going to have to step in and take a little bit of this load off of Fiona. Little screen, no call. Oh my gosh.
Point.
Wow.
Consecutive
18-7,
back
19.
wall right corner kills from Fiona Shannon. One earning the side out, and now another earning the 18 point.
That hurt Gallagher, but she kind of saved their team there.
Check the
I
I
ball.
believe what Gallagher needs to do at this point, or Team Ireland, Team Fiona, they need to call a timeout to give Fiona
18-7, 19.
some breath here. They've got timeouts to give, and Fiona's really huffing after playing 2-on-1 here. I would even suggest Gallagher throwing in a short ball on purpose. Just something. Argue with the referee.
I think they actually kick you out of the city here for arguing with the referee.
They tried to with me earlier.
Point.
One of my matches, 16-0, and I'm arguing. Earlier
Got
today.
it, 19.
And Dave, the drama is really high here right now as Fiona Shannon basically playing 2-on-1 has tied the score here at 19.
Well, out of the last 100 shots hit, the only time Gallagher has touched the ball was that wincing right and then her serves. She also had a paddle re-kill with her left. That's 6 shots out of the last 100 hit. Right there, she's gonna have to use it again. She goes with that big, huge hit.
Point.
She did not have to do that with that bad arm like that. She can just stick an arm out and paddle
Okay.
it up front into a corner.
Go
Instead, she
change.
went to the big,
3
huge
minutes.
wind-up.
Well, Ashling is saying, what is going on here? I thought Shabeel couldn't even hit the ball as she drills a 55-mile-per-hour paddle kill pass down the left wall. And now after this timeout, Dave, it will be Shabeel and Fiona serving for the first game. This is their first serve. They've scored 3 consecutive points in this inning.
Let's watch right here. As I was talking about Shabeel not hitting any balls, and then she just won a point for her team with a great little roundhouse Irish whip paddle. There's a cracked serve on the left wall from earlier as Aisling Reilly was doing a really good job of pushing back and using a lot of her power to try to keep this team honest. And Fiona Shannon's playing 2-on-1. Just shows you just how good Fiona Shannon is.
How much has Aisling and Lorraine's game plan actually changed trying to keep the ball away from Fiona? Has that actually hurt Aisling and Lorraine here in this first game?
No, that's the thing. They're not keeping it away from Fiona. Fiona's taking every shot. I don't think they've changed their game plan whatsoever. And I think that's the problem. I think they could just do the little tiny paddle up front and force Gallagher to use her right on every single shot. And if she allows it to go to Fiona, then Fiona's going to be terribly out of position. There's that rally where Shabeel hurt her right arm again, and then she's going to hurt it again.
Well, Dave, I'm really surprised that Shabeel is even playing with a right glove on. It's really not necessary. It's not worth the pain, and it's not essential to winning. She could be over on the left side glass just using her left hand and giving Fiona some freedom and some space to move about the court. Instead, Shabeel's kind of in the no man's land quite a bit, dancing around. You don't know when she's going to take balls and when she won't.
Well, you saw Shabeel take some type of medication just now as
Okay,
Fiona
Hey.
gave it to her, and she's now hydrating herself.
I don't know if that has been approved by VADA, Dave. VADA. They do have officials on site here testing the players. Players have to make themselves available 1 hour out of every day here.
Well, they just passed me a note and said it was antioxidants and a cell
Check the
boosting
ball.
pill, so I'm sure that's okay
Okay.
according
Well,
to
I
the
mean,
rules.
she'll be tested, so
Scores game ball, serving
it
19.
doesn't really matter.
20-19, Dave. Shabeel using that left-handed paddle. That's actually a really good serve. I might just go to that with my left hand. Shabeel has a chance to use her left there. This is a big setup. There it is for the point.
Point.
And the win. I don't know how they did it, but they just did.
Very disappointing first game for Aisling and Lorraine, who seemed to have been in complete control here, playing against very injured Shabeel Gallagher. But Fiona Shannon, Dave, puts the team on her back. Shabeel now looking pretty good. And Dave, first game going to Aisling, or excuse me, to Fiona and Shabeel. We're going to take a quick 4-minute break here. We're going to see you on the flip side, so you stay tuned.
2 minutes. 5. All finished. Yeah. No, 1 wall doubles, that's right. 1 wall doubles. A bit last night, the tiebreaker. Oh, Jesus Christ. 11:30 before it started. Who won that? Bit nice and... Malone, no? Malone. Malone, a wee bit weak for that. He's not a bad player, like, but... that class is... a wee bit weak.
We were doing after the men's doubles head. John just to go on around before we home, 11:30. We were up to the airport. I was still tired. And then Siobhan managed to referee it. That's what you do.
I know.
No, that's me, I know. So that one's inside. This was just stick to the camera. Or stick to the camera.
Right.
And where's the sound being broadcasted on the camera?
I must go into this thing up. Okay.
Welcome back for game number 2. David Fink alongside esteemed analyst and broadcast partner Dave Vincent. Dave, it was the one-handed Shabeel Gallagher and Fiona Shannon taking game number 1 in dramatic fashion, 21-19 over world champion Aisling Reilly and Lorraine Havern. Dave, game number 1 took 58 minutes. I think, Dave, everyone here expecting just about the same in game number 2 and potentially game number 3 as well.
Well, the real quest here is to try to get Fiona out of position, and I don't believe Aisling Reilly and Lorraine Havern are doing that very well. Right now, it's just a game of singles between Aisling and Fiona,
Point.
and a rematch of what we saw a couple nights ago with the women's championship. Right now, if Gallagher serves over to
1-7-0.
Aisling needs to put that ball and let it drop over on the right side. So Fiona has to run from all the way on the left back to the right corner deep. That's the best defense when you have an injured player. And they're not doing that at all. Now see how Fiona has to run all the way over? That's what I'm talking about. They have to do that on every shot. Instead, Aisling keeps peppering Fiona's left where Fiona's already in position. It has to be on the right side deep.
Play over,
See,
play over.
again, that's what I'm talking about. Any ball that goes to the right, Fiona has to run all the way over there to get it. I would even
1-7-0.
attest that you need to take the ball and just paddle it very softly to the right to force Gallagher to hit it.
You talked a lot last night, Dave, about using the corners in doubles. Do Aisling and Lorraine need to start shooting the corners more to get Shabeel and Fiona out of position?
Fade
No,
away.
I honestly I think the formula is very simple. You just lob a ball back to that right corner. Everybody can do it. You can do it in the serve. You can do it with your
0-7-1.
left. You can do it with your right. Instead, you're not seeing any of that. You're seeing Fiona having to move just a couple inches. You have to hit
Point.
balls down that right wall to force Fiona Shannon to have to go over there and get it, because Gallagher just simply can't with her injury.
Together at 1.
And that's the only formula. You don't need to kill the ball. You just need to hit everything down that right
Short.
wall, just like that. But you need to do it in the rally. Wrong shot once again. I mean, it's a good shot. It's just a wrong one. If Fiona's going to play 2-on-1, the worst place for her will be deep in the right court.
Hand off.
And Fiona, Dave, flat kills that ball with authority.
1-7-1.
She yells out after she does it.
Side away.
She doesn't have to go to the roof there.
One serving one.
Score, Dave, 1-1 here in game number 2. Nice pickup from Lorraine Havern. It was Team Shannon winning game number 1, 21-19. Winner of this match, Dave, will advance to the final tonight at 6:30 p.m. local time. The seats have already been sold out for that match.
That's the smart shot right there. That's the one I'm talking about. Now you have Fiona running from the left to cover the left and then the back to the right.
But Dave, some might argue with you that Fiona is a road runner. She loves to run around and cover the court. Really gets her in her
Side
groove.
away.
Yeah, but this is like her 6th round of handball, 7th round if you're including all the doubles.
Hold on a second.
I find that
That point.
Well, do you include an hour and a half of jumping
Two
rope a day?
serving one.
she's in great shape. But that's the way you're going to win this, Dave.
Hand off.
Miscommunication there between the sisters, as I think
Two serving
Shabeel
one.
believed that Fiona would take that coming across her body, but instead Shabeel has to take a swing at the last moment.
And that's what I think part of the problem is. Shabeel should be looking to attack with her left hand up front.
Three serving
She has
one.
the wrong mindset. She's being very tentative because of her shoulder.
Short.
That ball was short.
Short. Pot of grease. Second serve.
Dave, maybe you could explain to me how we can find line judges for every match, but it takes us over 30 minutes on average to find a referee.
Gallagher hurt herself there without even touching the ball.
Point.
Ball went between her legs. She stuck her right hand out really quick, and that again goes back to anytime Gallagher has to really suddenly make a quick move, that's when she has problems. That's why you need to hit every ball hard as you can at her feet. Defending that serve right there by poking it over to Fiona is not going to help. You have to use a punch fish shot right back down the right wall. Right there. Havern was in a position to do exactly that, and she didn't do it.
Point. 5 serving 1.
But I can't explain the line judge. I can't explain the referee thing either, to go back to that. Line
Check the
judges are
ball.
assigned by the referee, so once we get a referee, the line judges are really quickly there. But unfortunately, the reffing duties
5 serving 1.
have been botched big time here, with this show court going late every single day, and part of the reason is about 3 or 4 hours worth of cumulative referee issues
Per day.
per day.
But Dave, you hate to point the finger, but we really have not seen any of the top Irish players refereeing any of these matches, and you'd think that, being that this is their home tournament, you'd like to see some of those top Irish players stepping up and refereeing these marquee matches, but they're nowhere to be found. I haven't seen them even in the gallery.
1 serving
Of
5.
course, I'm not naming names because we don't do that here.
Well, I actually do like to name names, and I do
Okay.
like to point fingers, but I never thought about it that way. I guess if a tournament
Sack the
like
ball.
of this magnitude is coming to your country, then that would have been organized ahead of time. But really, it says clearly on the entry form that the loser's referee, and
1
there were
serving
many
5.
players that were in this tournament, and there were 4 that were in this court prior to this, and none of those guys are actually
Point.
reffing. And that's the problem I see, is that they're not enforcing the actual rule that exists. Now, yesterday we had a 47-minute wait
2 serving 5.
when 2 guys were available to referee, and they didn't show up at all after hearing their names on the intercom system. And really what they need to do as a tournament is just forfeit the players if they don't show up.
Sack
There's
the ball.
nothing like spending a couple $1,000s to fly over here and then
2
get
serving 5.
waxed out of a tournament because you didn't show up to referee. That's what the rules state anyway, but it didn't happen.
But if you've lost, you're out of the tournament anyway, so a forfeit doesn't really mean anything. Perhaps the winner's referee, and if you don't referee, you're forfeit out of the tournament.
I think normally at a regular tournament, the winner should ref. Nice get right there from Havern, and poked out with the left hand from Gallagher. And now you see Aisling Reilly. She's got an injury with her, looks like a
Groin.
hip flexor or
2
a groin.
serving 5.
I think at a normal tournament, winners should ref, but here at a world championship when you're trying to win a title, and this strange 2-a-day play, these ladies are playing the semis today and then the finals as well. I think they deserve to go back and rest, and I wouldn't expect the winners at all, especially Fiona and Gallagher, to have to ref this next match if they won with all the injuries.
Point.
There just has to be a better system, Dave. And in the States, they pay the referees at the national
375.
tournaments $25
Short.
every match. And some players historically could end a 7-day tournament with about $600 to $1,000 under their belt because they're reffing 10 hours a day, and they're getting a lot of money. And the reason why they pay back home is because they had this problem before in the past, and they've ironed it
4
out.
serving
Obviously,
5.
we haven't ironed it out here. That's why we're getting out at 2 o'clock in the morning and back in at 7 o'clock the next morning to do these
Say to
matches.
Well, Dave, one of the changes we've made on the Race for
5
8
serving
Pro Tour
4.
is actually assigning refs for the entire weekend on Thursday night. They're all written, they're etched, Dave, into our score sheets, and if they don't show up, they don't get paid and they're forfeited. So we haven't had any problems whatsoever. I don't know, Dave, if there's been problems on the courts downstairs finding referees, but certainly there's been major problems up here on the show court, which is the last place really you'd want to have that problem.
Point.
Another issue, not to prolong this, but I know we are, but downstairs, if you've been to those court, there's really literally thousands of people down there. And it's an easier draw to pull from the referees, since that's really
6
more or less,
serving 4.
it's like having all of the courts right in the kitchen. It's very easy to find the ingredients that you need to make something work, because the tournament desk is just located within just a couple feet. Here, you actually have to be a paid person to come upstairs into the event arena where we're at the show court. Makes it a little bit more difficult for somebody who actually paid to watch this now being asked to referee. And I think that's kind of where the problem is. Also, there's not a tournament control desk upstairs at the show court where we're at, and I think a little lost in translation, kind of forgot about up here in a lot of
Well, you know,
sense.
Dave, in the defense here of this event, which has been an amazing event, we've never seen a court like this that's a stage that's separated from the rest of the courts in the facility. And I don't think that when they were building this $1+ million facility in euros, that this was one of the details that they had considered I'm
8
sure
doubles.
next time, Dave, that they build a court in an
Open
arena,
numbered.
this will be
Open.
addressed. But for now,
Open
Dave, it
numbered.
has been a
Okay.
problem. Let's hope that it's not a problem for the rest of today, as we have
Oh,
another women's
right in there.
open semifinal match immediately
Oh,
following
like
this
it.
one. And then tonight, Dave, we'll have the women's final and the men's final starting at 6:30.
There's mom and dad right there from Fiona Shannon and Shabil Gallagher.
Sorry.
Mom to the right, dad. They've been giving advice and also talking to their daughter who was injured. Shabil hurt herself again in that last rally. It's nice to see mom and dad coming down from Belfast.
What time's it now?
Well, Shabil took a very hard swing 2 rallies ago with her right hand.
Second game. Okay. 6-7-4.
Score here, Dave, is 6-4. Fiona Shannon and Shabil Gallagher in the green won the first game 21-19, and now with a slight edge here in game number 2.
In order for Aisling Reilly and Lorraine Havern to win, Lorraine's going to have to make more opportunities happen. She has to look to take balls out of the air. She has to look to be aggressive up front. Right now, it's just the Aisling Reilly, Fiona Shannon show, and Lorraine's going to have to come up and disrupt somehow with a little bit of one-wall play off the front wall. Maybe she can have some strong serves down the right. Like that. She has gotten points down the right with that great serve, and that's the reason why she's playing with Aisling Reilly, is because she is a great server. She's also really good up front, but we haven't really seen that from her.
Well, Dave, Lorraine has looked a little bit tentative throughout this match, and even there, Dave, with the fly kill, she doesn't go for the bottom board. She just aims about 4 feet high, and that time Aisling Reilly with another back wall air. She's made a couple of really nice back wall kills, but they've been outnumbered 2-1 by airs.
Nice get right there from Aisling. Lorraine powers the ball. A lot of congestion. Someone's going to call a hinder here.
I don't necessarily agree with that call, Dave, as there was an opening. The C's parted there. The green C that is parted for Aisling to shoot the right corner, but the referee stopped play.
Short.
That ball hit Fiona.
Check the ball.
But Dave, as a fan of handball and as a fan of these ladies, it's actually painful to watch Shabil in there in this much pain. And of course, if they win here this morning or early in the afternoon, they'll be playing again tonight, and she'll be even in more pain tonight.
See, Fiona has to try to thread the needle with that shot because there's so much congestion up there. You called it the green sea party. It's actually the Irish Sea. I think I know where you're going there. That's where the Titanic jumped out into the Irish Sea before it went. And
I actually wasn't that deep. I was just referring to the color of their uniform.
Oh, okay. So it was more of a conceptual analogy.
But I could see how you thought I might have been off there.
Hand off.
Well, in Belfast, where the Titanic disembarked for that historic and tragic journey, it went into the Irish Sea, and 3 of the 4 players here from Belfast, and we saw that the Titanic player of Aisling Reilly trying to break through that ice.
And Dave, during that historical lesson, Lorraine Havern actually smacking the side wall with the same jam finger she'd hurt in game number 1.
It's serving
Very strange shot, actually. And now Lorraine is in a lot of pain with that jammed, I believe, middle finger on her right hand. And Dave, we've seen teams today and also yesterday shying away from going after Shabil because of her injury. But you see Fiona now going right after Lorraine, knowing that that hand is hurt. And she's going to try and force Lorraine to hit every shot. That's a difference, Dave, between Fiona and the rest of these women. She has a cold-blooded competitive drive.
10-7 is the score. And it's so true that 10 years from now, maybe even 2 months from now, when you look at the score line, you don't look at jammed finger losing to Fiona Shannon. You just see the score, and Fiona knows that.
Well, I know, Dave, you and I every 3 months go through all the record books from every major tournament just to keep ourselves fresh, dating back to actually 1976 we study.
Point.
So certainly, Dave, 3 months from now, when we're going through our
Timeout
records
call.
and our spreadsheets, we probably won't remember that Lorraine Havern jammed her finger, or that Shabeel Gallagher needs a 2-year rehabilitation on a torn bicep.
Well, oddly enough, you and I will remember all of that, and that's the sad thing about it all. We'll even remember that the Irish Sea is connected to
I don't know, is it?
the Celtic Sea in the south by the St. George Channel, and at the Atlantic Ocean in the north by the North Channel.
Well, I was being facetious. Of course, we will remember all of that.
Of course, you know that Anglesey is the largest island in between that channel, and we'll remember Anglesey and the St. George Channel and the Irish Sea, and
Francis.
you know the sea is occasionally, but rarely referred to as the Manx.
This was a tiebreaker.
M-A-N-X.
This was a tiebreaker. The league now referee has to play.
The Scots call it that. I hope that's not
We'll see how
offensive
it
to
goes
call
first.
someone from Scotland a Scot, but I just did. Of course, that's the Irish Sea. It's it is large, but that's it's followed by the Isle of Man when it comes to the sizes of the bodies of water there.
Yep. Okay. Score is 11, serving 7.
The sea is a significant economic importance to the locals, the fishermen and such.
Check the ball.
And now, Dave, Shabeel has a wrap on her right calf. She's got a problem with her back and also potentially a torn bicep. So I'm not sure there's any part of her body that's not ailing at this point.
But then you have that groin issue with Aisling Reilly, and then a jammed finger from Lorraine Havern. I think if you put all the players together, nice dig right there from Shabeel. Everyone's playing paddleball up front now. But if you put everybody's body together, you might have actually one human that's capable of being at 100%.
7, serving 11.
Beautiful
Point.
shot from Lorraine Davis. She looks for the first strike and gets it.
It's 7, 11.
Bottom board paddle kill.
I love that serve. Lorraine can't back out. She has to stay up front because she knows that
It's 7,
Fiona
11.
is going to go back for a re-kill, and that's okay. Let Fiona re-kill that, but you come up front and paddle it because she's out of position. She's the only one that can hit that ball. I want players to kill a ball in front of me.
Point.
Shabeel now using her right hand twice.
9, serving 11.
Moment of silence here, Dave. 9-11. Thank you.
And we're back.
Point. I thought it hit you. Sorry. Hit Lorraine. I thought it hit Sorrel.
I like when the referee says
9,
that he
serving
thought
11.
that it hit somebody. I just walk out of the court and say, well, you thought wrong.
Well, that actually hit Lorraine's ponytail.
Ooh, that one didn't. It would have been better if it
Check
did,
the ball.
but it did not.
9, serving 11.
Do we do the double moment of silence on that?
We're actually a triple now. And now
Point.
in the clear as Aisling Reilly and
serving
Lorraine
11.
enter double digits here in game number 2.
Can't wait for the next break so I can
Check the
tell you
ball.
more about the Irish Sea.
Incredibly, Dave,
10,
this is
11.
all off the top of your head. Either you knew I was going to bring up the Green Sea, or you're just that smart.
Side away.
I happen to think it's the latter.
Well, I like
11,
to study
serving 10.
my surroundings at every stop and then remember it for the rest of my life. And I actually test myself. And if I'm wrong, I eat ice cream until I throw up. You can see I'm not very challenged at trying to learn.
Play that over. Play that over.
And there's a replay. I'm just trying to get the
11, serving 10.
film crew mainly from Belfast to smile. Not seeing
And off.
too many smiles from the film crew.
Lynn Linda was on the verge
11, serving 10.
of laughing there, Dave, actually.
Short.
Randall Lumley.
Had her right on the edge. Just couldn't quite put the nail in the coffin.
I was afraid if she would have laughed any harder, she would have slipped off her foundation. Nice little power punch fist right there from Lorraine Havern. I think it's disruptive, Dave. You brought it up earlier, to play a 2-on-1 team, because
Side away.
every shot you're not comfortable because you're thinking too much. You have to just kind of compress all of your
10,
thoughts and
7,
say,
11.
I'm just going to execute my shot. I'm not even going to think about it anymore. Just go for what it is. Kill what you have to kill. Don't think about the players unless you have a lot of time. That was a weird throw.
Point.
That ball never even made the front wall. I don't think I've ever seen that before.
Nearly impossible to do, to miss the front wall, Dave, from standing against the front wall. I think she hit
11,
that
7,
backwards.
11.
She did. I've never seen that before in my life.
That would have been good in cricket, though.
Point. 12, serving 11.
And now the first lead here in the second game for Aisling and Lorraine.
Replay.
Can we fast forward now, Dave, to 10-10 in the tiebreaker, or should we wait another
12,
couple
11.
hours?
I was just wondering if we can fast forward to 1920. Because that's where this is going.
Hand off. 12, serving 11.
But I agree with you, Dave. Very difficult playing against an injured opponent. And I know, Dave, you've been in there against guys
Side
that
away.
potentially sprain their ankle or maybe jam their knee, and then all of a sudden you're thinking,
11,
well, they
serving
can't
12.
move as well, so I'm going to go for different shots, and then they're making gets you don't expect them to make, and you're completely out of sorts.
Well, they're
because
making
of it.
great shots. Look at that great shot right there from Fiona. But you know, they make good shots because they now know
Yeah,
that they have
12.
to get the shot over immediately because they're in pain. So then they go for outrageous shots that they shouldn't be going for, and it takes you way out of your game because it's not normal. The only person that can handle it is Paul Brady. And he's not here to defend himself.
Three.
I believe
Point.
Paul is
No,
Facebooking Luis Moreno right now.
the referee said replay, and then he said
Header.
point. Now he's saying hinder.
Hold on. That ball hit you, Sylvia.
It's a terrible
It's a
call
hard
from the
offense.
referee. First of all, the ball did hit, but he said replay before.
Did not hit you before she hit it. 12, 12.
Crazy call from the referee. He said replay, then he said point, and then he said hinder, and then he just replayed it and acted like the ball hit somebody on the way in. And the only person that understood what was going on was Aisling Reilly, and she was shaking her head from the very beginning.
Oh, God.
And see, that's disruptive right there. That should be an avoidable hinder, Dave. See how Aisling's given up during the rally because somebody is crying and laying down on the ground? That's totally disruptive. The referee has to say something here, and I think Aisling's going to come out and say something.
I would actually like to see the parents, Dave, of the Green Sea throw in the towel. These two ladies, Dave, are just too competitive to ever quit. But, you know, as a fan and someone who loves these two, you'd like to see them just say, why don't you just live to fight another day?
Aisling's totally right here, Dave. She walked out and said to the ref, she's screaming during the rally. Aisling just let up. When someone screams, they're saying, ow, it sounds like no, like it hit your wrist. And
Well,
so she's laying on the ground. And Aisling is, as you have been, when you are told, when someone says that they, you know, no and ow sound very similar. When someone yells that after they hit a shot, that's stopping the play.
Well, regardless if it's no or ow or ice cream, it's a hindrance, and that's an avoidable hinder.
Well, that's what Aisling said when she walked out of the court, and the referee just said, okay. But that's not the way you handle it. You can't have somebody who has a pre-existing injury continually getting injured and then also hindering the play, and then you win a point because you said ow, and then everyone stopped. It's an avoidable hinder. And I'm rooting for Fiona Shannon and Gallagher deep down because of the injury. I think it's a great story, but you still have to call the game correctly.
I actually don't think it's a great story. I feel badly sitting here, and I wish, Dave, that they would do the sensible thing and just call off this match. Of course, I also don't like to work, and that would be less work for us here in the booth.
Well, they're winning, Dave, with just 3 arms.
On off.
You might think it's sensible. I think it's wonderful.
13 serving 12.
It's 13 serves 12 now. That's a good spot right there from Havern.
Point.
But she has to be the consistent one. She can't hit fish shots to the ceiling
14 serving 12.
from that position. She's going to have to drive balls. That ball hurt.
Point.
Should be a one more time, of course.
15 serving 12.
You just wonder, Dave, that was a short serve.
Yeah. It'll be overturned, too.
I have not seen a player appeal a serve after more than a 3-shot rally yet in this event. So
Well,
it is appealed.
Aisling will if they lose the point here, because Aisling saw it, and she's one of the smartest handball players I've ever seen. Oh, nice dig right there from Gallagher. Let's see if Aisling appeals that serve. She doesn't. Unbelievable. It also is an unwritten
16
rule
serving 12.
that a lot of players, after 20 shots, they say that you don't appeal, even if you know it was short.
I never received a copy of the unwritten rule book.
Well, you don't. That's the whole thing. It's unwritten, so you don't write it down. It's just where would the copy be if you don't write it? That's actually the title. It's the unwritten
17
rule
serving
book.
12.
Okay.
Sorry to be so informative.
Well, just jotting that down. Another lesson learned here this morning.
After 20 shots is not ethical.
Point.
And that ball
Check
hits
the ball.
Lorraine Havern.
And now Aisling and Lorraine just completely unraveling here, Dave.
Fiona Shannon is the
15
greatest
serving 12.
women's player I've ever seen in my entire life. She is unbelievable playing 2-on-1 after that big, huge letdown where she
Check the
lost
ball.
to Aisling Reilly a couple nights ago. She could just be calling this in, but she doesn't want her
15-12.
career to come to an end either. I think she's fighting. I don't believe she'll play at the next World Championships. And that ball hit Gallagher on the way in.
18
Well, I will
12.
stop you there, Dave, and say that that is entirely speculation on your part. We really don't know her
Short.
intentions.
That ball was short.
I believed it was good.
No, it was short. The ball was right on the green line, on the inside of the green line. You'll see it right here as they stop the ball right there.
Short.
This will be overturned, Dave.
Short.
See?
Two disagree with me. Short ball. Second serve.
There it
19
is. See the
serving
ball on
12.
the line on our monitor? That's the ball hitting the line right there.
That is only the second call that's been overturned by the appeals judges on this court, Dave, in this event.
Well, in all due respect, the
Replay.
previous short ball that we're talking about was about 10.16
19
centimeters
serving 12.
further toward the front wall.
Okay.
Hate to be so exact.
Well, how can you not be
Straight
when we have
away.
lasers on every line in the server's box?
12 serving 19.
Well, there's a lot of things I can't do well in life, but one thing is I have really good eyesight.
Point.
And if you want to test me on that at any time,
I may actually take you up on that at some
13
point.
serving 19.
eyesight's really good. My appetite's also really good, so I guess there's two things.
What was the second one?
Appetite.
Oh.
Appetite. I can see all the words on a menu.
14, serving 19. Short.
Unbelievable that this is 14 to 19. I really thought that Aisling Reilly would be in the finals of the doubles
Second
with
serve.
Gallagher being hurt like this. Let's see if Aisling Reilly can light it up here at the end like we know she can. That's a miss hit,
Point.
and there's another point now.
We've seen Fiona, Dave, struggle from the mid to back court with her
15,
left
serving
hand.
19.
She's made a number of errors. I believe, Dave, it's 15-18.
Oh, look at that little get right there around the revolving door with the left hand, now trying to pump
15,
herself up.
19. Short.
I can't really hear what the referee is saying here. 15-19 is what I hear.
I believe it's 14-18.
Check the ball.
Linda knows. She's tracking it.
2 serves. 15, 19.
All three of
Linda
us
says
in the
16-19.
booth here, Dave, have a different.
That ball
serve
was short.
Was well
Short
short.
ball.
I'll have a different understanding of what the actual score is.
I'll go with Linda's. She's actually tracking point by point. She has 16-19. I think that's probably more
I'm
accurate.
actually going to go with mine at 14-18.
Oh, Linda has 16-18. Okay. Well, I think the first person to win gets a pint. And if you win, Dave, I'll drink yours because you don't drink.
Thank you.
Stop. Straight away. Serving 15.
Oh, so I nail it. You know, I'll take that. I'll take that. Both of those pints right now, please. Gallagher's wincing in pain.
Off.
Uh-huh.
And there's 1/2 out.
You know, Dave, should Gallagher and Shannon win this
19,
match
15.
and face Lisa Fraser-Gilmore and Jessica Golly in the final, the Canadians will have no mercy on Shabeel Gallagher's injured right arm, Dave.
And it looks like they're going to do it. 20-15 is the score right now, and looks like Shannon and Gallagher are going to go to yet another World Championship final. I've already put their name down on my bracket. I use
Ball serving 15.
a gold tip pen. I don't like to waste that ink.
I actually use the edge
Check
of a
the ball.
knife, Dave, and carve it into my wooden draw sheets.
Nice. It's very artistic, and also it smells good.
Well, when the lacquer dries, Dave, it really does have a nice aroma to it.
And there it is. They return to the finals. Fiona Shannon and Shabeel Gallagher. All 3 arms of them.
And you see a big hug from the sisters there, but Dave, their work is not yet done, as they'll be back on this court in about 6 hours' time. And I can assure you, Dave, that injured bicep will not feel any better later this evening. But in any event, it was Lorraine Havern and Aisling Reilly falling to the 3-arm team of Fiona Shannon and Shabeel Gallagher. Dave, for Dave Fink, Dave Vincent, and the rest of the WPH team, thanks for sticking around, and we will see you in just about 15 minutes for the women's second open semifinal. You stay tuned.